Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, we're going to get straight into part one, as always. If you don't know by now, you should know. Part one, of course, the review part where we talk about the fights from last weekend. We're going to crack on with that straight away. Okay, we're going to start with a little result that took place over in Wales. This was on the Friday. Andrew Selby fought Brett Fido. Andrew Selby now moved to 4-0. He picked up a TKO in the 6th round. Now, Brett Fido, okay, he's a little bit of a journeyman in the flyweight division. He has got 6 wins, 23 losses and 2 draws. But however, this win by Andrew Selby got the KO in the 6th round. This is the first time Brett Fido has been stopped in 23 losses. So it's a little bit of a statement there for Andrew Selby. And if you don't know, he really is going to make a huge, huge impact in the boxing world in the coming few months, because he really is a serious prospect, probably one of the best prospects in world boxing. We're now going to move over to California. Just one result I want to mention over there. Shane Mosley Jr., he picked up his 6th professional win, so his record now 6-1. Now moving over to Saturday, we're going to start over in France. Hassan N'Dam, of course, the former world champion, he moved to 32-2. He got an 8th round unanimous decision win over Patrick Mendy. Now going over to Germany, Jürgen Brähmer, of course, topped that bill. He was defending his WBA World Light Heavyweight title against Edward Gutnech, and Brähmer moved to 48-2. That was his 50th professional outing. Edward Gutnech, 29-4 with the 1 draw. Gutnech actually was deducted a point during that fight, but Jürgen Brähmer won via 12th round unanimous decision. Now we're going to go straight over to the Echo Arena. There was a lot of fights on that bill, but of course we're going to start with the headliner, Terry Flanagan against Derry Matthews. Terry against Derry. Terry Flanagan, of course, boasting a record of 29-0 going into this bout. He looked to move to 30-0, and Derry Matthews, of course, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more fights in him. 38 wins, 9 losses and 2 draws. Terry Flanagan managed to pick up the win. It was on unanimous decision. A lot of people thought he may get the stoppage over Derry Matthews, but he didn't. Flanagan also had a point deducted in the 8th round. He was a little bit dirty, to be honest, Terry Flanagan. He was fighting a little bit dirty. Derry Matthews has got the reputation of being dirty. Derry Matthews, he fights a little bit dirty, but Terry Flanagan actually, surprisingly, a little bit dirty. And like I say, the referee took away a point, but 12-round unanimous decision win for Terry Flanagan. So he now retains his WBO World Lightweight title, and he's now 30-0. What a record that is. Best of luck to Terry Flanagan, and best of luck to Derry Matthews. I'm not sure what he's going to do after this fight. He put out a tweet on Twitter, and he said that the journey may be coming to an end. So it'll be interesting. We'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on that one. Moving down that card, of course, Paul Butler also on the bill. He was fighting for the vacant WBO International Super Flyweight title against Sebastian Sanchez. Paul Butler 20-1, Sebastian Sanchez 12-1. Butler was down actually from a right-left to the body during this fight, but Paul Butler ended up getting the knockout in round 9, so he gets his 21st career win, so a record now of 21-1. Also on that bill, defending his WBO Inter-Continental middleweight title and also fighting for the vacant Commonwealth middleweight title, Tommy Langford fought Lewis Taylor. Tommy Langford, of course, was boasting a 15-0 undefeated record. He now extends that to 16-0 with a unanimous decision win after 12 rounds. Also on that bill, the one-man who defeated Paul Butler, the man responsible for the loss on his record, Zolani Tete. He was fighting for the vacant IBF International Bantamweight title against Jose Santos Gonzalez. Zolani Tete extends his record to 23-3 with a TKO in the 7th round. Also on that bill, a decent little scrap. I actually highlighted it would be last week. Matty Askin, 19-3 with one draw going into this fight against undefeated 8-0 prospect Simon Barkley. Of course, this is in the cruiserweight division. It was for the English cruiserweight title. Matty Askin picked up the TKO in round 2, so Simon Barkley picks up his first career loss. Barkley was down in the first round from an overhand right, and he had a badly cut left eye. So Matty Askin now 20 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. Also on that bill, again, it was quite a big card. Kevin Satchell moved to 15-0 with a points win after 8 rounds. Jazza Dickens, we wanted to see the big clash versus Rigondeaux, but of course, due to visa issues, Rigondeaux couldn't make the fight. It was all a bit of a mess, to be totally honest with you. So unfortunately, the fight couldn't come off, but he actually picked up a win. He fought Ronaldo Cayena. Of course, this man came in with late notice and he was down from a left in the 2nd round and he decided to not come out for the 7th round. So he retired on his store after 6 rounds. So Jazza Dickens now 22-1. Of course, that one loss coming to Kid Galahad. We're going to mention something about Kid Galahad in the news section shortly. Also on that bill, the Indian superstar, the Bollywood superstar, Vijender Singh moved to 4-0 with another knockout. This was in the 3rd round over Alexander Horvath, who is actually a decent little fighter. He hasn't been a pro for too long, but 5 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. So a decent little record there. And Vijender Singh picks up another impressive win. And that's really it. We've kind of zoomed through part 1. Just before we bring on our first guest, we're going to bring you a little bit of news. Ayaz, what news have you got for us?
On May 28th, Ricky Burns could become a free-weight world champion when he takes on Michel De Rocco for the vacant WBA super lightweight title in Glasgow.
Excellent stuff. So Ricky Burns, it'd be good to see him get another crack at the title. I'm not sure if he's over the hill. I believe he is, to be totally honest. But then when we saw him out against Omar Figueroa, I thought that he was going to get absolutely beaten in that fight, beaten hands down every round, and he put a really good account of himself in. So it'd be interesting to see what Ricky Burns can do. Any other news at all, Ayaz?
Yes. On the same night as Amir Khan vs Canelo Alvarez, Derek Chisora will face Kubrat Pulev on May 7th with a world title shot and the European Championship on the line.
Absolutely. Kubrat Pulev, who is a very, very good fighter, of course, only has 1 loss on his record, and that's to Vladimir Klitschko. Fair enough, he lost quite badly, but this is a really tough fight for Derek Chisora. And one, I hope he can win, but I don't think he will win. But again, best of luck to Derek for that one. Of course, I did also mention something about Kid Galahad. That piece of news is that the Boxing Board of Control have decided to lift his ban. He had a 2-year ban for usage of an illegal substance. It's now been cut to 18 months, which basically means that the ban is up, I believe, in the next couple of days. So he's getting ready and he will hopefully be fighting very, very soon. We cannot wait to see the return of Kid Galahad. Is there any other bits of news, Ayaz?
Yes, Badu Jax first was meant to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but however, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had to pull out an injury, so therefore now he faces Lucien Bute.
Okay, excellent fight. That's again on April the 30th. That really will be a decent fight. It's going to be a little test there for Badu Jack, because although Lucien Bute, I believe, is over the hill, he gave quite a good account of himself against James DeGale. So it'll be an interesting fight here. This is a potential banana skin. Lucien Bute's been at the top. He's been there, done it. He's a bit of a veteran, and it'll be interesting to see him. He gets another massive shot, back-to-back world title shots now for him. So all the best, and may the best man win. Is there any other bits of news, Ayaz, or is it okay to bring on our first guest?
There's one other news. IBF super middleweight champion James Chunky DeGale will face Rogelio Porky Medina on April 30th.
That's right. Porky versus Chunky, Chunky versus Porky. It'll be a decent little scrap, this one. Another defence for James DeGale. I know it is his mandatory. A lot of people not very happy with the choice of opponent, but it's his mandatory. If he doesn't fight him, he loses his title. So He's just got to get this one out of the way, and then hopefully we'll see him unify the titles. I'd like to see him in with Badou Jack, providing Badou Jack can get through Lucien Boutte, which again is scheduled for the same night. So that'd be an interesting encounter. Okay, I believe that Ayaz Sumra, also known as Trevor McDonald, the newsreader, is now done with all the boxing news from the boxing world. We're now going to bring on our first guest on this week's show. Okay, now it's time for guest number one on this week's show. Fresh off his knockout win on Saturday night, it's Jazza Dickens. Jazza, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joel. Thanks for having me on, mate.
No worries. First and foremost, Jazza, thank you very much for coming on the show so soon after your fight. How are you today?
Good, very good. I'm optimistic about my European title shot on the 4th of June. The night after the fight, I went on with the excitement. I didn't sleep, and then the next day I got off into a half marathon. So I'm always in training, and I'm just looking forward to the next night. Big fight.
Absolutely. Now, of course, everybody expected Rigondeaux on Saturday night. Everybody expected you to be fighting Rigondeaux. The fight couldn't happen due to visa issues. However, you still fought on the night versus Ronaldo Kahina. You extended your record to 22 wins. You knocked him down in round 2. He didn't come out for round 7 and retired at the end of the 6th. All in all, are you happy or disappointed now, looking back, now in the aftermath?
Of course, I'm not disappointed, but I'm not happy either. I'm more. It was a frustrating week, and I learned a lot of lessons within that week. So I am happy with the lessons I've learned, but it just means I have to wait a bit longer for what I believe was my big shot, and I believe I will get it. So I'm not too disappointed. I'm looking forward to going back to the gym. I'm learning with the coaches on what we been practicing in the gym and stuff like that, and I really feel like I'm progressing, so I'm happy with it overall. Okay, because we actually spoke to a couple of people in and around your weight class about that fight. We spoke to Kid Galahad just last week, and he was expressing that you had a real chance in that fight. He said, everybody's writing Jazza off, but when he shows up, he gives anyone in the world a fight. So he had a lot of good stuff to say. Of course, there's a little bit of news on him. His ban has now been lifted, so he's eligible to fight. How exciting will the division be with his return? Yeah, I'm not too sure, as I only focus on my career, so I'm not too sure about. I'm not going to look into other people's careers really, so I'm not too sure. But it's good that his ban's been lifted, and he's a fighter. And I understand it wouldn't be nice for the fighters to be banned because of something he claims that he didn't take. So yeah, I'm glad that he can move on with his career.
And also we spoke to Gavin McDonnell, and he was telling us that he didn't really like the way that you were almost treated like the away fighter, although it was going to be, the fight was taking place in your hometown. Do you feel that you was just looked at as an opponent? Because he was quite frustrated with that, to be totally honest. Did you feel that way as well?
Yeah, well, I was the opponent when it was the Rigondeaux show. People was asking me for tickets back after Rigondeaux pulled out and stuff like that, and I thought they would come to support me. So it was frustrating, but nonetheless, I still got my opportunity and I got what I wanted out of it, and that's why I took the fight. So it was all about him, but in my career, it was all about me, and I got what I wanted out of it. But Gavin McDonnell, he's doing great, isn't he? He got the WBC silver title shot, and he's doing great, and he's only had a few fights as well, and he's done a lot within them few fights. So thank you for him saying the nice words, and I'm also happy for him too.
Excellent stuff. Now, of course, have you noticed that your stocks have risen a bit with this fight? Though I know you're saying some people wanted their tickets back and stuff, but of course your Twitter followers have gone up, and your name seems to be in everybody's mouth at the moment. Is that good? For your career progression in the future, is it good that your stocks have risen? Have you felt that at all?
Yeah, definitely. I can't deny that it's risen a lot, and there's like people asking to like sponsorship and all that. They want to help me out a lot more, but I know at the end of the day that not really. It does matter, as in you need to build a profile to get big fights and stuff like that. But if I lose my next fight, then it all goes back down again. So I know it's only important what happens inside the ropes. So I'm happy about that. It's going that way, but I also know I have to keep my head down. I stay out of the light sort of thing and not get thrown into that sort of, not like celebrity mentality, but not like the cameras and stuff like that. I need to stay away from that and just do what I've always done.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not often that like a mega fight was supposed to take place and then it ends up not happening and both fighters' stocks rise. It's almost like Tyson Fury with the David Haye saga. His stocks seemed to rise when they weren't even fighting, and that kind of,
Yeah.
he obviously went on from that, soaked it up, and now look where he is. So best of luck with that. Of course, yeah, you touched on it. Your next fight is already being lined up. You're fighting for the vacant European title on the 4th of June against the Spaniard Abigail Medina. Now, he's no mug. We know about him over here. He lost a close fight, a close decision to Jamie McDonnell in 2013. Are you confident you can do a job on him, Jazza?
Yeah, of course. The fight's made and the fight's on, and I'm training for the fight now. I'm back ready for it because training camp and working on the game plan for Medina, and I have full confidence in myself going into this fight that I'll be with another world champion from Liverpool in the last 2 or 3 years. Our gyms have just been me. It will be me. There's been Kevin Saxon and Ryan Farrag, who've also won European titles from our gym. So I've seen the lads at the gym do it, and know full well I'm capable of doing it myself. And I'm looking forward to going in the gym on Monday and talk to Paul and Mick about the game plan. I've got full confidence in them and my team that we wouldn't be going into this fight unless we were going to be European champion.
I know that recently there was a mega fight in your division, of course, Scott Quigg and Carl Frampton. Did you think who did you have winning that fight before the fight?
I had Frampton to win the fight. I was sparred both of them, and I can tell it was a good few years back when I sparred both of them, but Frampton was a much better boxer. He had a good amateur pedigree, and he had the more brains out of the two, and Quigg had the more brawn sort of thing. So I know that boxing's all about hitting and not getting hit, and I knew Frampton would stay away from me for most of the fight. I knew Quigg would come out strong, but I did expect it to be too late, and I called the fight just the way apparently it went. I didn't see it, but I heard that Quigg came on too late sort of thing.
Yeah, do you feel it was a little bit of a disappointment, the fight?
As I say, I didn't watch it myself, and people were saying that it was a disappointment, but people had a good night looking at Indy, and I think good on them two lads for making a massive fight and both putting it on the line. I don't think they might be upset that the fight wasn't what they expected it to be, but they got a good night out of it, and them two people really put on a good show. So good on them two for bringing in big publicity and stuff like that for the super bantamweight division.
Now, of course, there's someone as well coming up in your division, an unbeaten prospect for the future, someone who I personally would like to see you fight. What's your thoughts on Gamal Yafai?
Gamal Yafai, obviously, as amateurs, we travel the world together, really. We went to European games together and many competitions, so we went to EU together, and we were also in the under-10 novice competition together. We travelled all the way through that to the age of like 17, 18. We on TV sports together, so we didn't know around sparring, and we even sparred as a pro. So I know Gamal's a good fighter, but if that fight ever comes on in the future, then so be it. But after the near future, I can't see it happening. Or he's Commonwealth champion. I'm looking at European, so. I don't know. I haven't thought too much into that fight, to be honest. But I think it could make a good fight in future as he's talented and he's a good fighter.
And the last thing I'm going to ask you before I let you go now, of course, we touched a little bit on Kid Galahad. Of course, he's got he's the reason for the only blemish on your record, the loss to him. Is that a loss? Is that a fight that you want to avenge?
As I say, where I'm going right now, I feel like I'm reaching towards the world title. If they got the world title before I get there, then of course, but if not, there's no point going back on all grounds. But I think if Kid Galahad can start where he left off, then it could make for his big future in this division. And I think if he boxes, then it'll be something big.
Okay, great stuff. Is there anything that you want to say to any listeners who may be listening, any supporters, any fans of yourself that may be listening?
Just as always, thank you for the support, and I full well understand that I wouldn't be where I am only for them people, and that's just not just saying that to win people over or anything like that. That is a fact. I wouldn't be where I am only for the people who pay good money to watch me box, and I'm so grateful for them that every day I get to go out there and have a good career, and and live a life that comes in career sort of thing because of the people. So thank you very much, and please keep following me till I get to the top.
Excellent stuff. Okay, listen, Jazza, best of luck with the newfound fame almost. Best of luck for your upcoming fight in June, for the European title, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, is called the preview part, where we preview the fights coming up this weekend. Again, there's not much this weekend, to be totally honest. It's not going to take more than 5 or 10 minutes to get through this. Of course, we're going to bring on another guest, but yeah, hold on for that one. We're going to start over in Philadelphia. This is happening on the Friday. Jesse Hart tops the bill. He, of course, is a prospect in the super middleweight division. Look out, guys, for this guy. He really is one to keep your eyes peeled on. Jesse Hart, 19-0, unbeaten with 16 knockouts. He faces Deshaun Johnson, who has a record of 19 wins also, with 18 losses and 3 draws. This should be another routine win for Jesse Hart. Okay, and also down that bill, we had him on the show a couple of weeks back, but his fight ended up being cancelled, so he's now on the undercard of this fight. It's Mike, yes indeed, Reed. Of course, he is a prospect in the super lightweight division, which is, of course, the 140 division, and he has a record of 17-0. Again, that's another prospect that you've got to keep your eyes on, Mike Reed. He faces Samuel Amawako, who has a record of 21 wins and 8 losses. We're now going to come over to the UK. This is taking place in Glasgow. Just one fight I want to mention. It's not, his opponent hasn't been announced yet, but Willie Limond is back out. Of course, he's got a whopping record of 39 wins and 4 losses. His opponent, as I said, yet to be announced. Moving over now to Massachusetts, Stephen Ormond, he gets back out again. He likes to fight over in the States. This is at the House of Blues in Boston. He tops the bill over there, I believe. He has a record now, of course, of 20 wins and 2 losses. He faces Marcos Jimenez, who has a record of 21 wins and 6 losses, and that's for the vacant IBF Intercontinental lightweight title. Also on that bill, Steve Collins Jr., he gets out again, of course. He is a cruiserweight, if you didn't already know. He has a record of 5 wins and 1 draw. His opponent is yet to be announced. And also a return of 2 fighters. We haven't seen one of them in quite a while. And the last time we saw the other guy, he looked very disappointing against Brandon Rios. We're going to start with Juan Diaz. He makes his return to the ring. Of course, he has a beautiful record of 40 wins and 4 losses. He returns to the ring against Fernando Garcia, who has a record of 30 wins, 7 losses and 2 draws. It's scheduled for 10 rounds in the lightweight division. Also, Mike Alvarado, again, looked very disappointing last time out to Brandon Rios. Mike Alvarado, 34 wins and 4 losses. He faces Saul Corral, who has a record of 19 wins and 6 losses. So despite there not being too much boxing on this weekend, Ayaz, there's still the return of 2 guys that have been out of the ring for quite a long time. Of course, Juan Diaz and Mike Alvarado. We want to see the return of those 2 guys to see what they've got left in the tank. Also, coming up the ladder at the complete other end of the table, we've got Jesse Hart coming up, 19-0. We've got Mike Reed coming up, 17-0. 2 top prospects from the USA. So all in all, it still is a good weekend of fights, Ayaz.
Definitely, I can't wait to watch these fights.
Absolutely. Okay, excellent stuff. We're now going to bring on our second guest on this week's show. Okay, now it's time for guest number 2 on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the current Commonwealth and WBO Intercontinental middleweight champion. It's Tommy Langford. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Hi, mate. You all right?
Very good, thank you. Okay, of course you were part of the big bill on Saturday at the Echo Arena. You faced Lewis Taylor. Was he trickier than you expected, Tommy?
He was better than I expected. Yeah, he was more awkward than I expected in the way he came forward. You know, he didn't box his way in really. When he decided to come forward, it was more of a bit of a lunge in really, which did make it quite awkward to catch him clean. But fair play to him. But to be honest with you, it wasn't my best performance. I was under par on Saturday night, and but I still managed to come through and win most of the rounds and win well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, you've got that good world ranking with the WBO. Is that the route you'll be chasing in terms of world titles in the future?
Well, when you look at the world champions out there, you've got Golovkin and Billy Joe Saunders. And, given that I'm in the WBO, really, that's the one I've got to be looking at, and that's the one I'm looking to push down. I know Frank Warren's looking at pushing me down that route and getting me up for that position and looking at a world title fight, and that is something I am very keen for and want to push for. And I know that regardless of performances or whatever, I know that if I'm put in front of somebody of a world level, I'll operate at that level. So that's the fight I do want. But I've got to get a couple more fights under my belt first.
Yeah, of course. The WBO middleweight title is held by Billy Joe. You're both promoted by Frank Warren, so I'm sure that fight can be very easily made. When do you feel that you'd be ready to participate in a fight like that, and of course win the fight as well?
I mean, in all honesty, I know from my own experiences and whatever, I know I can operate at that level now. If I'm thrown in the deep end, I can operate at that level. In terms of building the fight up and, getting everything that you deserve from the fight in terms of pay and whatever, the fight needs to be built more. So then you're talking it's 2-3 fights down the line. And also that will give me a bit more valuable experience going, potentially going the 12-round distance or fighting against higher caliber opponents. So it'll put me even more than ready. But I've always said that if that fight's offered to me, whenever it's offered to me, I take it if the offer's right. And I know and believe in my own ability, and I'd get it right for that. I'd get everything right for that fight, and I believe I cause a lot of problems, and to anybody, not just Billy Joe Saunders, to anybody at that level. And so if it comes about, it comes about. But otherwise, I've just got to get myself to that mandatory position, which I'm not too far away from.
Absolutely. Now, for the people that don't know, what type of people have you sparred with in the gym, Tommy? Some of the top names.
Well, I'm not really one to talk a lot about my sparring in terms of talking about who I fight and who I spar, but I've been in there with, current and former world champions and, world ranked opponents in both in both super middleweight and middleweight divisions and, mandatory challenges to world titles. So I've been in there with a lot of good operators and, over the years, and especially more recently in the last 18 months. And what disappointed me on Saturday night is that all the hard work that I had been doing and all the good stuff I had been doing in the gym with these caliber fighters, I didn't show in the ring. And, I felt had I done all that stuff that I knew I was capable of, I would have shown that I am of that grade. But nevertheless, I got the win, and I've got to prove it in my next fight.
Yeah, of course. Have you got any idea when you're next out? I know that we're very close to the fight the other day, but any idea at all?
Well, it'll be the summertime. I'm sure it'll be June, July time. They want to keep me busy, and obviously, I'm performing and I'm selling tickets, so they want to keep getting me out the door. But I've got a nice little rest now. I've been back to back with training camps since last April, really. Flat out, I've had I think every fight I've had a fight, and then I've only had a few days off, and I've gone straight back into the gym, into a hardcore, intense training camp, and this camp just gone. Obviously, the fight was supposed to happen in February, and with it going on the extra 5 weeks to March, it has tired me out, and it has proved that I do need a rest, and I'm only human, and I do need to rest my body, and so I've got a bit of a break now, and I've got my first baby being born in this next month, so I've got the birth of my boy to look forward to, and while I've got my downtime, and I'll be back in the gym hitting it hard for the summer.
Oh, excellent stuff! Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Excellent month as well to be born in. April, you say?
Yeah. Well, he's due April, but I've got a sneaking suspicion he's going to arrive early.
Well, if it lands,
getting big in there.
If it lands in April, that's the month I was born in, so it'd be a great baby.
Fair enough.
Okay, I just want to ask you of your thoughts on some other things that's happening in and around your weight class. A couple of upcoming fights. Of course, next week we're going to see Chris Eubank Jr. face Nick Blackwell. Yeah. How do you see that fight going, Tommy?
I think it's a proper fight. That's a great fight for the fans, and it's a great fight for both the fighters. I think. I really like Nick Blackwell. I know him quite well, and I really want him to win. I hope he can chin him, but I think he's up against it in terms of styles. This fight is going to be one where they both stand in front of each other, and I think Eubank being a little bit sharper and a little bit faster, I think he's likely to get off first with his shots, and then so I think I see it going that way. Having said that, if Blackwell decides to really if he puts it on him from the round 1 to round 12 and doesn't let him rest at all, he can upset the apple cart there, and he can get the win. And so I think Eubank's probably the favourite going in, but it really can go either way, and it'll be a point. Whoever wins, it'll go to the scorecard. I see a close score, because they're going to sit in the pocket and they're going to punch holes in each other, I think.
Can't wait for that one. And also, not a fight that's actually scheduled or anything, but just in terms of, it would be nice to see the unification. If we saw a clash between Danny Jacobs and Billy Joe Saunders, how would you see that going?
I think Billy Joe has the skill and capability, the skill to deal with like all fighters on the planet. To be honest with you, regardless of me saying I believe I can beat him, but what I will say is he's not the biggest middleweight. Danny Jacobs is a big middleweight. He's tall. He's 6'1", same as me. And also Jacobs is fast and he's a good boxer in his own right. I think it's always going to be one of them where if Billy Joe can get ahead and stay away, he can get a bit of a points win. But then at the same time, I think if you push Billy Joe, and really, if you can push him and you can match him technically as well as physically, if you can do that, then he does tire late, and I think you can win. So it's a real good fight, that one. I'd like to say Billy Joe would win because he's a British fighter, and obviously he's in the same stable as me with Frank Warren, and so I'd love to see that he could win that. He could win that, but that's a pick 'em fight straight up. I don't really side with anybody. I thought Quillen and Jacobs would be closer than it was, and obviously Jacobs went out there and took Quillen apart. So I think it's a real 50-50. I can't really pick a winner in that one.
Yeah, it is a genuine toss-up, that one. Okay, the last question I've got now, another fight that's coming up. It's sort of between light middle and middle. He's kind of in his own weight class now. Khan and Canelo.
Yeah. Well, I think although it's for the WBC middleweight title, it's not really a middleweight fight. It's light middleweight. I think, Canelo's got that size and strength, and he's very, very patient. He picks his punches brilliantly. You've got to go with Canelo, and I think he'll stop Khan. But, fair play to Khan taking the fight. He stepped up. He's taking it. And what I will say is Khan's got the speed to trouble anybody. If Khan decides to go in there and pick singles and doubles and just move his feet, he can frustrate, and he can nick rounds, especially against Canelo, who's a bit slower and sits in front of him. Having said that, I think he'll get carried away, which he nearly always does, Khan. And when he gets carried away, he'll get caught. And when he gets caught, that'll be it. That'll spell the end for him, really, especially upper weight against Canelo. What I would like to see is if Canelo comes through this, that he fights at 160 and not 155 or 156, and really steps up and fights the bigger man at a middleweight. And if he can come through against a real genuine middleweight, then fair play. But I think he'll drop back down to 154 and avoid Golovkin.
Yeah, unfortunately, we probably won't see that, but what a clash it would be. Okay, Tommy, for anybody that's listening, anybody that wants to follow your journey, could you please give them your Twitter handles, your Instagram name, so that people can follow your journey to the top? Yeah,
it's just Twitter. I haven't got Instagram, so at Tommy_Langford1, and or add me on Facebook, Tom Langford. I'll accept you.
Excellent stuff. All right, Tommy, listen, I wish you the best of luck with your future. I hope you have a nice little break, a well-deserved break, may I add. And we'll see you in the future. We'll no doubt speak to you again before your next fight.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers, mate. Ciao, bye.
Okay, now that wraps up episode 24 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra, and he's also been the Trevor McDonald of the boxing world. A big thank you to our two guests that took part in this week's show. Of course, we spoke to Jazza Dickens, and of course, we just finished speaking to Tommy Langford. So a big thank you to the two boxers that took part in this week's show. We'll be back next week with another big show. Please keep liking, following, retweeting, and favoriting. Again, a massive thank you to our listeners. Thank you for giving us your ears for the past half half an hour or so. We'll be back next week with another buster of a show. Until then, take care.